Hello, I'm Miles Young, CEO of Ogilvy Mather, and I'm delighted to contribute this short video in support of the 4A's approach to client compensation. I'm delighted because there are a few things I really care about, and this is one of them. I believe there has grown up a kind of a cavalier approach to compensation. On the client side, it's often slash and burn to drive the cost down without really understanding the consequences of the actions. And on the agency side, it's often a naive view that there's some safe haven around the corner where novel forms of compensation will somehow rescue the encircled cavalry. Actually, I would rather we all return to basics. It's the basics which this debate is about. It's a debate which doesn't need reframing. It just needs framing in terms of the laws of supply and demand, the very basics of this world. And at the end of the day, while on the supply side, everyone would like value-based compensation, the reality is that cost plus labour is the prevailing practice in this industry, and in my view, it is probably likely to remain so. So it's better that we recognise that and get on with making the system, which is applicable in the vast majority of cases, actually work for both sides. So with that as the basis, I would say that there are four vital principles we need to re-establish firmly. Basic rules. Firstly, you pay for what you need. So first and foremost, you must understand your client's business goals and marketing objectives, what they actually need. Only from there can we determine the right mix of staffing to deliver the solution. It has to be a needs-based set of staffing proposals. So you cannot start negotiating the compensation details without having that understanding. And from that understanding, everything else flows. If the needs are defined right, the staffing structure should be right, and then the basis for the compensation discussion should be very clear. Secondly, it's life or death. It's not delegatable. Any negotiation must be a team approach. It shouldn't just be delegated to your finance partner. The senior account leads and even the MDs or CEOs of the agency must stay involved, people like myself. And I've seen time and time again how dangerous it is if we don't, how negotiations can go off the rails and lead into fractious territories. And then my third basic rule is a Latin one, if I may use a Latin tag: quis custodiet ipsus custodes. Who will watch the watchmen themselves? And in this case, the watchmen are the outside consultants. Quite often they get involved, and that's the point when the agency CEO must stay vigilant. Because we have all had experience of consultants that use inappropriate benchmarks or insist on agencies supplying confidential cost details, confidential to individual employees, such as salaries or details of overhead, which is difficult to do. And what happens in that situation is there's an automatic demonization of the agency who can't provide the information or who criticizes the benchmarks. That's not, in my view, acceptable. And we have to be therefore very, very careful that we are questioning the consultants just as much as they are questioning, quite properly, us. And then the fourth and final rule is to believe in your value proposition. And I really mean believe. You know, we have a business which is precious. We supply a resource in order to generate creativity. And that precious agency resource is the talent which clients have to pay for. It takes a lot to attract it, to keep it, to manage it, to nurture it, to train it. So the agency deserves a fair return on its investment. And ultimately, of course, the value comes from measuring the impact of the work done by that talent. And it comes from having a very, very clear sense of the superior business results which emerge as a result of having better people staffing a piece of business. And that's something which we absolutely cannot resile or avoid or back away from. So, in my view, there are four very basic rules, and the secret in compensation is to get back to the basics, not to argue about something which might be nice but is around the corner, which is unlikely ever to come or to be widely adopted, but to ensure that existing systems work properly and fairly from everyone's point of view, from the point of view of the client and from the point of view of the agency. Thank you.